Hi, my name's David, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment on an article that was published in a UK newspaper on Saturday. And basically, the article was talking about the children's education in England has been put back years due to failure of special education needs systems. Well, to be honest about it, actually, this isn't a recent thing. To put it into context, I'm the son of a special needs teacher. My mum trained in 1977 and I'm 53. So I've been around the system on and off for years. I remember getting dragged into my mum's school as a kid and just going along and just watching what was going on and seeing actually the kids that were around. And actually, the system has been failing ever since. It certainly hasn't been fit for purpose. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover a couple of points and the reason why. The article in this particular case talks about it's failing, causing thousands of children to have their development put back by months or even years, according to damning report by the local government ombudsman. And it's basically saying that the system isn't working for children, families, and all local authorities. Resources are a challenge. Many organisations lack vital staff, and in many areas, it's not suitable, and it's basically it just doesn't exist. Here's the thing: this isn't anything new. What you've got to bear in mind is that you've got different stakeholders within the journey of special needs. Now, I am part of that stakeholder group. I've been part of that stakeholder group, different stakeholder groups. What you've got is you've got number one, you've got the child. They're the key, they're what's said to be the key stakeholder, but to be honest, but bottom line, I don't think the system really cares about them. And I've been part of that system where the system didn't care. So you've got the kid at the heart of it. They're one stakeholder. Then you've got a second stakeholder, which is the carers. And now that could be the parents. And when I talk about parents, what you've got to bear in mind is that potentially you might have two parents. They might be split up. Are those the parents as a group actually working together, or are they at odds with each other? So the parents themselves are different, have got a different perspective. Then you've got the wider family, and you've got the pressures that are on the child and the family. And again, to be honest about it, you've got different social pressures, cultural pressures, linguistic pressures, and it's this level of understanding. So that's a different stakeholder group that often might be forgotten in the journey. Then you've got the frontline professionals, and I'm talking about the people that are frontline, having to deal day to day, minute by minute, in the moment of working with the kids with special needs. Just to clarify, both my kids have got specific issues, and I struggled at school as well. Now, the frontline teacher comes from a perspective. They've got a historical perspective. They've got their own history to do with special needs. They've got their own training. They've got their own experience. Then potentially you've got the teaching assistants who have got their own perspective and their own values as well. But they're supposed to be working, the educationalists are supposed to be working to a particular thing, to a particular agenda. Then within the school system, you've got the management and leadership who might have slightly different pressures because they've got financial pressures. They've got targets for regulators, such as in England, Ofsted. Then you've got the potential governors within the school organisation. Now, within England, it depends where you're watching this video from. You've got state schools, you've got independent schools, you've got private schools. Now, some schools are not for profit, they're charities. But to be honest about it, and I'm going to be blunt, people might disagree with me, and quite frankly, it's up to you. If there are independent slash private schools that are that have kids with special needs in them, and they have contracts with local authorities. Now, these organizations may be set up for as charities, but to be honest about it, in my mind, a lot of them aren't charities. They may be not for profit in inverted commas, but quite frankly, that's a load of rubbish, because I've seen, witnessed, and my child and my daughter has been part of one of some of these not-for-profits, and trust me, they've got business development managers. And if there's a business development manager around in a not-for-profit school, that means there's profit to be made. You get layers. So, for instance, the not-for-profit school might actually rent the property off of a for-profit school, and then if you actually look deeper beyond this, the same people are behind it. So there's this intricate web within the school system of the different stakeholders, and they've got, quite frankly, potentially competing agendas. I've seen it, I've studied it, I've researched it, my kids have been part of it. Then you've got the local authorities who are set targets, and they've got their financial restrictions, they've got their own agendas. Then you've got the government as well that have got their own agenda as well. So what you've actually got is you've got this level and cacophony of stuff that's going on around a child with special needs. Then you've got the educational professionals. The article talks about educational psychologists. Well, actually, to be honest about it, there's a shortage of educational psychologists. This has been going on for years. The system fundamentally is flawed in enabling enabling people to become educational psychologists. It takes a lot of time. I don't deny that it's a highly skilled profession in any shape or form. And when I was doing a module of my master's, one of my supervisors was the head ed psych over at Havering. Phenomenal bloke, phenomenal knowledge. Yet it's how hard is it to become an educational psychologist? And I don't mean how hard, how many places are there around for people to become educational psychologists? Where are the professionals? Where are the professionals? Where are the professionals around to talk about this? What are they doing? Where are they going? And how many professionals are there? I saw, I don't know, it must be about 15 years ago, a swathe of speech therapists and occupational therapists leaving the National Health Service, and they were essentially working for the state. And because of the terms and conditions that they were under within the NHS, they chose to leave and set up for private practice. It's as simple as that. So you haven't got the professionals around now that you have to provide that support system. And even when I was in a classroom, it must have been 15 years ago, it was an absolute struggle to get speech therapists and occupational therapists. They were gold dust at the time. Now, I have no idea where they are. And it's, how long does it take to train? Where is the funnel for these people to get to the front line to provide the support ultimately for the key stakeholder, which is the parent? Coming back to this article, it talks about complaints are up. Was it like complaints for schools and special needs provisions account for 26% of local government ombudsman cases for 23-24, with 92% upheld. In England, with the amount of money that isn't in the system, it's not financially sustainable for the model to go on the cases are upheld. There were cases, and again, this was amongst the rumor mill, amongst people who were talking about some local authorities were intentionally stalling and putting people off so that they would try and avoid funding the kids in special needs. I mean, to be honest with it, funding a kid in certain special needs places, some not-for-profit schools charge £45,000 per child, and to be honest with it, that can go up because with additional support that's in place. So if you look at that, it's the amount of time behind this that's wasted. Look at if 92% of those cases are upheld, and the problem is you've got loss of productivity. You've got loss of productivity within the local council because those people can be doing a job to support the people. You've got the parents like myself and like my wife, who, quite frankly, our working lives are damaged. Some people, you're talking about parents who can't go out to work because the process is so delayed and it takes so long that literally getting a job and trying to do any form of part-time or full-time employment is nigh on impossible. What's the impact on that? Well, actually, there's a financial strain on the parents. The local authority and the government is not earning taxable revenue from the parents. So the financial ecosystem just simply doesn't work. And the longer the kids are out, the more social, emotional, physical issues that the kids are going to have. They're going to put potentially on weight. They're going to struggle socially, emotionally. That's going to put pressure on mental health services. And then if we're adding to the whole mental health services, if the kids are self-harming or doing or causing problems with neighbors and other bits and pieces, potentially the kid's going to jump on Childline. And it's not uncommon for the kids to, let's say, go on Childline to flag up the issues with the kids. If the kids are potentially reporting that they're suicidal, they're I think obliged to report this to the police. The police will then come around and start doing checks. So that's a waste of police time. Yeah, according to this report, last year 576,000 children 576,000 children and young people in England had an educational healthcare plan. And basically they needed extra support. A further 1.2 million children are estimated to have special needs but don't qualify for an educational healthcare plan. To be honest about it, when they're talking about the system is a wreck, it's getting far worse, and absolutely far worse. And this was a train crash that was expected to happen, that everybody knew was happening. What you got to bear in mind is you got more, thankfully, due to modern, for example, medical health. What you've got is you've got more and more kids are surviving health issues, more and more kids surviving with chronic health conditions. For example, brain tumor survivors. You got kids who are surviving brain tumors, who the education system is fundamentally failing because the systems aren't in place to support the children on their educational journey in order to maximize their potential. So when they're talking about child development being put back for years due to failures in the education system, this has been going on, to be fair, since the 1980s. Nothing fundamentally has been done, and society is reaping its rewards for not putting the systems in place. And there needs to be a fundamental shift in the way kids with special needs are viewed, with hidden disabilities are viewed. Because you can put all the staff in the world into this, you can throw all the money in the world, but to be honest about it, if you haven't got the mentality of the people in the right place, doing their job, working to one agenda, and the one agenda and the one simple agenda is to maximize that child's potential. That's all it needs to be. It's maximize that child's potential to then enable them to live as independent life as they possibly can, to develop their communication skills, to develop their social skills, to develop their emotional skills. By doing that, that has the knock-on effect for the parents and the carers. That benefits society as a whole. What needs to stop now is people and the different stakeholder groups fighting and competing, like just having competing agendas. And quite frankly, saying they say one thing and it's all lovey-dovey of, yeah, we're working towards a child, when it actually, if you know your stuff, if you go into the meetings, you know that there are competing agendas. There's one agenda and one agenda alone: maximize the child's potential and look at how to develop that child. From that moment onwards, everything else will get better. there will be a less of a strain on budgets. There'll be less of a strain on the system. Mental health will improve. So to be honest about it, it's just work together and think about where that child will be in a year's time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time. Plan ahead. Forget political cycles, forget financial cycles. Literally think, what does that child need to accomplish to be the best they possibly can in life? And just work backwards. Once that's done, then actually the special needs system in England can be addressed. And the same principle applies globally. How to maximize the kids' potential, look where they're going to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time. Have a plan for them and work backwards and listen to the key stakeholder, which is the child, then the next level up, which is the parents, and everything else starts falling into place. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to be posting on a daily basis about this stuff now. I'm going to find articles. If there's an article you want me to comment, just let me know. Take care. Have a lovely day.